You're watching a recap from Investor XP, the show that covers investing for gamers. Check out the video description for details. It is Tuesday, June 6th, and we got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about some semiconductors that go into basically videos. We got some Autodesk stock we're going to be looking at. Worldwide Developer Conference was yesterday. We're going to give our full recap of that. We're going to continue on with our clothing stock. So we're going to be checking out all of those. Each of those is going to be an individual video posted up at YouTube today, and that's what we got coming up live for those of you who are watching live. So let's go ahead and we'll jump right in. Yesterday at the tail end of the show, we got to look at live a little bit of Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference. So we gave some quick thoughts then, and last night I was able to actually watch the whole thing. So going to try and go an overview of what we thought from the conference and what's going on with the stock today. So we'll take a quick look at that. Two video on Tesla. Yeah, I've done a. Let me go over to the Twitch chat here. Yeah, I've done a video on Tesla. I think Tesla is a scam and a scheme. We'll be doing a follow-up video pretty soon on Tesla a little bit as more earnings and stuff comes out. But Tesla really, I don't know. They don't deliver on what they say, and I've really, I don't know. I haven't been a big fan on Tesla, to say the least. So yeah, check out some of the old videos. If you want to check out at any time, let's show this real quick here. Go to investorxp.com. Pull it up here real quick. It's a website. It keeps track of all the different calls and videos that we have. So you can see down here on the right, there's Tesla. You can just click on the link, and these are the different videos that we've done on Tesla. It's easier to find than going through the YouTube. So investorxp.com. Check that out if you want to see any of the old stock picks that we've talked about. They're all there. It's pretty easy to follow. But let's take a look at yesterday's. Trying to hit everything that they talked about in the Worldwide Developer Conference. It started with, I'm over at Mac Rumors. I'll put a link in the description below. They have some pretty good coverage of it, but there was a downgrade earlier on in Apple stock, and I think you're going to see Apple stock slide a little bit. I'm really surprised to see that Apple stock is actually up today. I expected some more sell-off and people basically getting out of Apple stock, which I don't think is a good idea. I think you should certainly be long Apple stock, but you're going to get the sentiment from these different, whenever they have the Worldwide Developers Conference and things like that, people will say, well, that's not the coolest thing that Apple's ever come out with, so they're losing their touch. And people stay away from it, and then the iPhone comes out, and their sales are incredible, and the stock goes back up. So people are kind of always waiting for Apple to lose their mojo, and then it creeps back up. I mean, they're such a solid company with the amount of cash and everything that they have on hand. They're going to be great investment, in my opinion, for them. But let's take a look at the Worldwide Developer Conference. MacBook Pros, they talked about those. Nice refresh. The thing is, again, Apple is always sold well on their Macs with old hardware, and even this update wasn't that great, but they'll sell them. Their Macs are going to continue to sell. People use them, but it's their typical refresh on it, which it's really good stuff, but it's not cutting edge, and people are going to buy it. Let me kick over the chat there. Yeah, a lot of people aren't big fans of Apple of their product, but I mean, with the amount of cash and stuff that they have, it's hard to and the dividend that they pay and stuff. Uh, I have a lot of friends that don't like the Apple hardware. I've always used Apple hardware, but I mean, you can't ignore the amount of cash and everything that they had. One of the interesting things was the iMac Pro, which, all right, now there's the super high end stuff, really pricey though. And they were comparing to, similar things would cost 7, 8 grand. That's one of their little tactics that they use, Apple does, so that they can justify their premium price. The thing looks great, thing looks killer. It's basically a server grade chips and everything in it for all in one desktop. So it's pretty crazy. Be interesting to see how many of these they actually sell starting in December. They've kind of ignored the high end pro people, and a lot of them, people in the industries that use Apple use their laptops anyways. Um, and that's kind of where their growth has been in the Mac. But it'll be very interesting to see. People were very adamant that they wanted this, and there's been some good feedback on it. Not so much at some of the other stuff that they revealed, and we'll get to that in a second. High Sierra, they keep going on with these periodic OS 10 updates. Very good, solid updates. They're free. They keep pushing the operating system in a better direction. I like what they do with their operating system a lot better than what Microsoft is doing. Microsoft just they they need to stick with one thing instead of splitting up their operating system and everything that they're doing. I like Apple's model with the operating system. Metal 2 was very interesting. Their graphics that they used there and some of their VR and augmented reality stuff that they had was very interesting. Let me kick over to the augmented reality, the demo that they had was pretty cool that they had in there. And they even showed some Pokemon Go stuff with the new augmented reality kit that they had in. That to me, the AR kit that they had was the biggest thing from the Worldwide Developer Conference. If they're making a strong push for that, I think it's going to be a very good thing for Apple. Um, Curious because the they didn't have a lot about the Apple TV, and it's like Apple with the augmented reality and a lot of in their metal APIs that they use, and what developers are able to do with that in a short time. It's to me, it's always ripe for them to get into more of the gaming console race, and they could take a huge chunk out of that, especially working with Nintendo like they have been. But it's they always take a step back. They have some really cool stuff, and it's like Apple never goes full blown. And yeah, that's what I'm hearing too. Pull that up. I'm losing you there on the chat. Your last comment here. It's cut off for some reason. See if I can push it up here. There we go. Yeah, AR. I'm hearing too that it's gonna outperform VR, and that to me that makes sense because one of the things about VR that I'm hearing is you don't get the long play times with the big headsets and everything. And that's where Nintendo and some people are they're not ready to quite go full VR yet because the experience, a lot of gamers, they like those marathon plays, and VR's not there. So I'm happy that as an investor in Apple that they're going the AR route, which looks like it's pretty good. Some enhanced Siri stuff and the maps, that was pretty good. The Watch OS stuff was all okay. Big one, and here is where they're getting some backlash, is the HomePad speaker for $349, and it's going to compete with Amazon Echo. The backlash I've seen on a lot of the Apple talkbacks here is way too expensive, and they're too late to the game. Google and Amazon are already there, and they might even be there better than what Apple has, and it's too pricey. Now, seeing people have gotten some hands-on time with this, they say it sounds great. So once again, you've got your high-end Apple product, and I think people are ultimately they're going to buy it, and they're going to get into that. They're going to get into that market, and as their Apple Music grows too, it's going to do it. Be very curious to see how that sells. And they had some iPad Pro stuff, which iPad is a slipping sector. We'll see if that grows some sales there. But AR to me was the biggest thing out of the Worldwide Developers Conference for sure. Definitely the biggest intriguing thing from them. Pro Max, all that stuff is going to sell. The refresh in Macs is just going to continue their sales on Macs, which are growing. Really surprised that they didn't have more about Swift playgrounds and things like that. That really, to me, is their big Trojan horse, is as they basically lock in children as developers who will continue to develop for their careers using their APIs and everything like that. That's going to ensure Apple has a steady user base in the future. And they really didn't talk about that in the keynote a whole lot. So some interesting stuff at the keynote. I was surprised that Apple stock is up today. That was really surprising, especially since they got a downgrade recently. It was down yesterday. But I'm kind of expecting Apple stock to slide a little bit ahead of the iPhone launch, and then post iPhone launch it'll go back through the roof, and especially if we hear anything about bringing the cash back from overseas, that's going to be a big thing for Apple stock. So overall, it was a pretty good presentation, the Worldwide Developers Conference. Watch the whole thing. It's interesting now that they have multiple people taking a look at it and doing their presentation versus it was all basically before a Steve Jobs show. So I wonder if they're trying out more people to see who's got the best audience presentation, or who really gets the audience into it. So I think it's cool. I think it was a good developers conference. AR is the big thing out of it to me. Let me know what you think of Apple post Worldwide Developers Conference. You still buying the stock or not? We think it's a buy long term. Very cheap, pays a good dividend. Apple is one of the ways to go. And that's going to be it for today. We're going to wrap it up. If you want to contact the show, the information's behind me on the screen. Shoot us an email. Chat with us live Monday through Friday, 1:30 Eastern, 12:30 Central. Let us know what stocks you're looking at. If you want us to look at some, we always get some really interesting viewer picks, viewer questions. So like to see that. Go ahead and post your stock picks in the discussions on the videos we post up on YouTube. I really want gamers to start to see different people's strategies and hopefully get more people involved. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like the amount of subscriptions we've been getting lately. Growing the channel. Really want to help grow the channel and the community. So really appreciate that. Any feedback you can give me on the show will ultimately help make the show better. So thank you for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.